The doctor's words kept playing in my head, over and over. You're not a match because you're not his biological father. 16 years. 16 years of bedtime stories, of teaching him to ride a bike, of staying up all night when he had the flu, of cheering at soccer games, of helping with homework. 16 years of raising another man's son. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, from the day my world fell apart in a hospital waiting room. My name is Marcus. I'm 42 years old, and this is the story of how I discovered my entire life was built on a lie. I met Rachel when we were both 24. She was a kindergarten teacher. I was working construction, just starting my contracting business. We met in a coffee shop. She ordered something complicated with extra foam and caramel, and when the barista called out Rachel, I turned around at the exact same moment she did. Our eyes met. She smiled, and for a solid 10 seconds, I forgot how to speak. We were married 18 months later. The wedding was small, just family and close friends. Rachel looked beautiful in her dress. Her mother cried. My dad gave a toast about finding your person, and I thought I'd found mine 2 years into our marriage. Rachel told me she was pregnant. I remember every detail. It was a Sunday morning. I was making pancakes. She walked in, holding the test. She didn't say a word, just lifted it up with tears in her eyes. I dropped the spatula and hugged her so tight. We both cried. 9 months later, our son was born. Jacob Thomas Morrison, 7 pounds 4 ounces. 6:30 in the morning on a Tuesday in April. I was there for everything. 23 hours of labor, holding her hand, counting with her through every contraction. And when they finally placed that tiny, screaming baby in my arms, I had never felt love like that before. Jacob was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, dark hair like mine, or so I thought, Rachel's nose, her smile. Everyone said he was a perfect mix of both of us. The first few years were chaos, good chaos. Sleepless nights, diaper changes, first words, first steps. Jacob was a happy kid, always laughing, always curious. When he was 3, he wanted to be a dinosaur, wore a costume for 2 months straight. When he was 5, I taught him to ride a bike, ran alongside him holding the seat until he was ready, let go, watched him pedal away on his own. He looked back at me with the biggest smile. I'm doing it, Dad. I'm really doing it. When he was 8, we built a treehouse in the backyard. 3 weekends of measuring, hammering, painting. He wrote his name on the door. When he was 12, he made the soccer team. I went to every game, every practice I could. Rachel and I weren't perfect, no marriages. We argued sometimes, about money, about dishes, about whether Jacob could get a dog. But we always made up, always figured things out, or so I thought. 3 months ago, Jacob got sick. At first, we thought it was just the flu. He was tired all the time, pale, no appetite. Rachel took him to the doctor. They ran some blood tests. The next day, Dr. Patterson called us in. Acute kidney failure. The words didn't make sense. Kidney failure? Jacob was 16. 16-year-olds don't get kidney failure. But Dr. Patterson explained. A rare genetic condition. Progressive. His kidneys were functioning at less than 15%. He needed a transplant. Soon. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Appointments, specialists, tests, consultations. Jacob was scared, trying to be brave, but I saw the fear in his eyes. Rachel barely slept. She sat by his bed every night, holding his hand. I threw myself into research. Phone calls, forums, every connection I had, looking for a donor. Dr. Patterson said the best match would be close family. Parents, siblings. Jacob was an only child. So Rachel and I both got tested. They told us the results would take about a week. 7 days later, Dr. Patterson called me. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was on a job site framing a new house. My phone rang, his name on the screen. I stepped away from the crew, found a quiet spot. Marcus, he said, too carefully. I need you to come to my office today if possible. Is it Rachel? Is she a match? Marcus, I really think you should come in. There's something we need to discuss. Something in his voice made my stomach drop. An hour later, I was sitting in his office, diplomas on the walls, family photos on the desk. Everything looked normal. Nothing felt normal. He sat down across from me, folded his hands, looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Marcus, I need to ask you to sit down for this. I was already sitting. Rachel's test came back. She's not a compatible match, different blood type. That happens. He took a breath. Your results, however, Marcus, you're not a match either, but it's not just about compatibility. He hesitated, just for a moment. The test showed that you're not Jacob's biological father. The room tilted. I heard the words one by one, but together they made no sense. What? I'm sorry, Marcus. The genetic markers don't match. There's no possibility of error. You share no biological relationship with Jacob. I couldn't breathe. The air felt thick, heavy. That's not possible. I was there when he was born. I saw him. He's my son. Dr. Patterson's expression was sympathetic, but the truth was in his eyes. I know this is devastating, and I'm sorry you're finding out this way, but with the transplant timeline, you needed to know immediately. I don't remember leaving his office. I don't remember driving home. The next thing I remember clearly was sitting in my truck in the driveway, staring at my house, the house I'd bought, the house where I'd raised, my son, who wasn't my son. Rachel's car was in the driveway. I sat there for 20 minutes, trying to think, trying to process. 16 years. How was this possible? I walked inside. My hands were shaking. Rachel was in the kitchen, making dinner. She looked up when I came in. Hey, honey, you're home early. Everything okay? I looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 18 years. This woman I'd built a life with. Where's Jacob? At Connor's house. Studying. Why? Marcus, what's wrong? You look pale. Dr. Patterson called me in today. I watched her face, searching for something. Anything. And, is there a match? Can we donate? She looked genuinely confused. Concerned. You're not a match, I said. Wrong blood type. She nodded. Okay, so we'll find another way. There's a donor list. I'm not a match either, Rachel. Oh, okay, so we'll both go on the list. We'll find someone who... I'm not a match because I'm not his father. The color drained from her face. The spoon slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. What? The test showed I'm not Jacob's biological father. So, I need you to tell me, Rachel, right now, who is... She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. 16 years, Rachel. 16 years. And you never thought to tell me? Marcus, I don't lie to me. Not now. Not after this. Tell me the truth. She started crying, silent tears streaming down her face. His name is David, she whispered. David. David, I repeated. Who the hell is David? She sat down at the kitchen table and buried her face in her hands. We worked together. At the school, he was a substitute teacher. When? The fall before I got pregnant. It was only a few times. I was confused. We'd been fighting. You were working so much, building the business, and I felt alone, and so you slept with someone else. She looked up at me, devastated. I'm sorry. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I thought, when I found out I was pregnant, I thought maybe it was yours. We were still together then, and when Jacob was born, I wanted so badly for him to be yours. So you just never told me? Never gave me a choice? I was scared. And as time went on, you were such a good father. Jacob loved you so much. I couldn't destroy that. Does he know? I asked. David. Does he know he has a son? She shook her head. I never told him. He moved away. Got a job in another state. I never said anything. I had to leave. Had to get out of that house. Before I said something I couldn't take back. I walked to the door. Marcus, please. We can figure this out. We can. How, Rachel? How do we figure out 16 years of lies? I left. Drove to a motel. Checked in. Sat on the bed in a strange room. And tried to understand how my life had just imploded. David came. Got tested. He was a match. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. During that time, I moved back home. Not because I'd forgiven Rachel, but because Jacob needed both of us. I didn't tell him about David. Not yet. We decided to wait until after the surgery. Let him get better first. Then we'd explain. The night before the surgery, I went to Jacob's room. He was lying in bed, pale, tired, but he smiled when he saw me. Hey, Dad. I sat on the edge of his bed. Hey, kiddo. You nervous? He shrugged. A little, but they found a donor, so that's good. Yeah, I said. That's really good. Jacob, I need you to know something. No matter what happens, no matter what you learn, you're my son. You'll always be my son. He frowned, confused. I know, Dad. Are you okay? I pulled him into a hug. Held him like I did when he was little. I love you, Jacob. I love you too, Dad. The surgery was successful. Both Jacob and David recovered well. 2 weeks later, we sat Jacob down and told him everything. He was angry, confused, hurt. He didn't speak to me for 3 days. I think he was scared I'd leave. Scared I didn't want him anymore. On the 4th day, he came to me. Are you still my dad? Always, I said. Biology doesn't change in teen years. Doesn't change love. Rachel and I are divorced now. Not because of Jacob, but because the trust is gone. 16 years of lies. Too much to rebuild. Jacob lives with me most of the time. Visits Rachel on weekends. He's met David a few times. Cautious, careful. They're figuring it out. And me? I'm healing. Slowly. Some days are harder than others. But I look at Jacob. Healthy now. Thriving. And I know one thing for certain. He's still my son. He'll always be my son. Because being a father isn't about DNA. It's about showing up. It's about love. It's about 16 years of moments that mean more than any test result ever could. Rachel lied. She betrayed me. But Jacob? Jacob was innocent, and he deserved a father who stayed. So I stayed, and I'd make the same choice. Every single time,